Listen up, because this will change the way you look at your thoughts forever. Most of us think complaining is harmless, that it's just a way to let off steam, to lighten the load, to feel a little better in the moment. But my dear, the truth is far more serious. Every complaint you speak, every negative word you repeat, is not just disappearing into the air. It is going deep inside your mind. It is wiring your brain. It is shaping your future. Have you ever noticed how one complaint seems to invite another? You start by saying, "I'm so tired." And before you know it, you are complaining about your job, about your family, about life itself. Complaining is like a snowball. It begins small, but it gathers momentum, and soon it takes over. And what you may not realize is this: every word you speak is an instruction to your subconscious mind. Every word is a seed you plant in the garden of your life. When you complain, you are not releasing the negativity. You are rehearsing it. You are strengthening it. You are building a habit of unhappiness. So I ask you this question, from my heart to yours. Do you realize that every complaint you make is silently shaping your life? Do you realize that each time you repeat a negative story, your brain carves a deeper path, making it easier to feel miserable and harder to feel joy? This is not about blame, my dear. It is about awareness. Because the moment you see the truth, you can choose differently. The message I want you to hear today is simple but powerful. Complaining does not just hurt your mood, it rewires your brain. It does not just drain your energy, it destroys your happiness. And when you understand this, you will never look at complaining the same way again. People come to me all the time and say, "Louise, I can't change. This is just the way my brain works. I've been like this since I was a child." And I look at them with love and I say, "My dear, that is not true. That is not the truth of who you are." Because here is what science and spirit both agree on. Your brain can change, your patterns can change, your life can change at any age, in any moment, with any choice. For so long, people believed the brain was fixed after childhood like a stone carved in place. But we now know the truth. Your brain is plastic, not plastic like cheap or fake, but plastic like clay, able to be reshaped, rewired, renewed. This is called neuroplasticity, and it means the words you speak, the thoughts you think, the feelings you repeat are sculpting your brain every single day. Another myth many of you have heard is that we only use 10% of our brain. That is simply not true. Even when you are sitting still, even when you are resting, your brain is alive with activity. Networks are firing, signals are connecting, patterns are forming. The question is not whether your brain is working. It is what kind of patterns it is practicing. And here is the most important thing to understand. Every complaint is practice. Every thought is practice. Every affirmation, positive or negative, is practice. And what you practice, you become. So let's look closely at what happens in the brain when you complain. Because complaining is not just words, it is a negative affirmation. It is a rehearsal of unhappiness. Each time you complain, you activate a network of neurons, a pathway of thought. And the more you walk down that pathway, the stronger it becomes. Imagine a forest with many trails. The first time you complain, it is like stepping lightly on the grass. The second time, the grass bends. The third time, a faint trail appears. And by the 100th time, you have created a highway. And now, without even realizing it, your brain rushes down that path automatically. Complaining creates a mental habit. And habits create your reality. Think about it, my dear. You wake up in the morning and you say, "Ugh, I didn't sleep well." That complaint activates the negative pathway. Then you say, "This coffee doesn't taste good." That strengthens the pathway. Then you think, "Why does traffic always have to be so bad?" And now your brain is rehearsing negativity. Over time, this rehearsal becomes your default. And here is the tragedy. You could be surrounded by blessings, but your brain has been trained to notice only problems. The opportunity is right there. The beauty is right there. The miracle is right there. But the brain filters it out because the brain says, "I know what we practice. We practice complaining. So let's keep finding things to complain about." Do you see how dangerous this is? Do you see how easy it is to fall into this trap? Complaining feels like release, but it is actually repetition. Complaining feels like freedom, but it is actually programming. Complaining feels like venting, but it is actually rewiring. Every time you complain, you are teaching your brain how to suffer. Every time you complain, you are strengthening the muscle of misery. Every time you complain, you are digging the hole deeper. And then one day, you wake up and you wonder, "Why am I so unhappy? Why is life so heavy?" And the answer is, because your brain has become addicted to the pattern. It is not that life is always worse. It is that your brain has learned to filter for the worst. This is called the reticular activating system, the part of the brain that decides what to notice. And if you keep complaining, your brain trains itself to notice only what matches that complaint. Life could bring you joy, but your brain will dismiss it. Life could bring you love, but your brain will ignore it. Life could bring you opportunities, but your brain will say, "No, that doesn't fit our pattern." And so you live in a world of your own wiring. Now, this may sound frightening, but I promise you, it is also the most empowering truth you could ever learn. Because if your brain can be wired for complaining, it can also be rewired for gratitude. If it can be trained to see problems, it can be trained to see blessings. If it can practice misery, it can practice joy. This is not hopeless, it is hopeful. This is not condemnation, it is liberation. What you practice, you become. So if you want to become happy, practice happiness. If you want to become peaceful, practice peace. If you want to become loving, practice love. I often tell people, complaining is like pouring poison into your own well and then wondering why the water tastes bitter. Gratitude, on the other hand, is like adding sweet nectar, drop by drop, until the water becomes pure again. Which do you want to drink from, my dear? Which do you want to offer to yourself every day? So I ask you to notice, just notice your own patterns. How many times today have you complained? How many times have you rehearsed the negative? How many times have you said, "I'm tired, I'm broke, I'm unlucky, I'm alone"? And then, I want you to notice how those words feel in your body. Do they make you lighter or heavier? Do they bring peace or pain? Do they open your heart or close it? The body is always telling the truth. The body does not lie. If complaining made you happy, you would feel better after doing it. But you don't, do you? You feel worse. That is your signal. That is your wisdom. That is your call to change. And here is the beautiful gift. The moment you choose to stop rehearsing complaints and start rehearsing gratitude, the rewiring begins. You don't have to wait months or years. The moment you speak a new affirmation, the moment you say, "I am grateful for this day," a new path is created in the forest of your mind. It may be small at first, but every repetition makes it stronger. Every step makes it wider. Until one day, the path of joy is the highway, and the path of complaining has grown over with weeds. So repeat after me, with love. I choose to practice joy. I choose to practice gratitude. I choose to rewire my brain for happiness. Feel those words in your heart. Say them softly, like you are planting seeds in the soil of your unconscious, because that is exactly what you are doing. Remember, my dear, you are not powerless. You are not broken. You are not doomed to be a complainer forever. You are the gardener of your mind. You decide what seeds to plant. You decide what habits to rehearse. You decide what life you will create. And it all begins with this simple truth: what you practice, you become. Many people misunderstand the real cost of complaining. They think it is just words, just a passing habit, just a small release. But, my dear, it is not small. It is not harmless. Complaining does not disappear once the words leave your mouth. It echoes inside your mind. It floods your body, and it ripples into every area of your life. Complaining is not just a mood. It is a magnet. It pulls more of the same energy toward you. Let us begin with emotions. When you complain often, you slowly drain the joy out of your life. You might notice you become irritable more quickly. You lose patience with yourself and others. You find yourself tense over small things. Why? Because every complaint is a rehearsal of dissatisfaction. Every time you practice focusing on what is wrong, you make it harder to feel what is right. The result is a life where joy feels scarce, irritation feels normal, and peace feels out of reach. And yet, it is not life itself that is heavy. It is the weight of rehearsed negativity. Then we look at the body. Complaining does not only live in your mind, it lives in your cells. Each negative word you repeat triggers a stress response. Hormones like cortisol rise. And when stress hormones stay high, they damage the heart, weaken the immune system, disturb your sleep, and shorten your breath. So many people wonder why they feel exhausted, why their body aches, why illness lingers. And they do not realize that the constant drip of negativity is part of the cause. Every thought you think is a chemical event. Every complaint is a signal to your body. Stay tense, stay unsafe. Imagine what would happen if instead you spoke to your body with words of safety, with words of love. And what about relationships? Complaining is contagious. Have you noticed that one person's negativity can fill an entire room? A conversation that begins with connection can quickly turn heavy when one person starts listing what is wrong. And soon, the other person adds their own complaints. Before long, both leave the conversation drained, not nourished. People are drawn to warmth, to kindness, to joy, but when you complain, you push people away, not because they don't care, but because the energy feels heavy to carry. Complaining may bring temporary bonding, but it does not build true intimacy. What builds intimacy is honesty, yes, but also hope, encouragement, and a shared belief in possibilities. Finally, let's talk about opportunities. Complaining narrows your vision. The brain, as we have learned, only sees what it is trained to notice. And when you train it with complaints, it becomes skilled at spotting problems, but blind to solutions. You may walk past an opportunity every day and not see it, because your brain is too focused on what is missing. You may meet someone who could open a door for you, but you repel them with negativity. You may pray for change, but your words keep you locked in the old pattern. Complaining is not just a bad habit, it is self-sabotage. It keeps you from seeing the good that is already around you. So let us pause and ask, is this the life you want? A life with less joy, more stress, strained relationships, and missed opportunities? Or do you want a life where joy flows easily, health grows stronger, love feels abundant, and doors open before you? Because, my dear, the difference is not fate. The difference is the words you choose, the focus you practice, the thoughts you repeat. This is why I remind you again and again. You are the thinker of your thoughts. You are the gardener of your mind. You are the creator of your life. Complaining may have cost you much already, but you can choose differently now. You can choose words that heal instead of harm. You can choose to practice gratitude instead of rehearsing pain. You can choose to rewire your brain, restore your body, and renew your joy. My dear, we have seen how complaining rewires the brain and drains our joy. But now let us step into the most important question of all. How do we free ourselves from this habit? How do we retrain the mind so that, instead of rehearsing misery, it practices joy? The truth is, you are not powerless. You are not trapped. You can change the story. You can change the habit. And you can begin today. The very first step is replacing complaints with affirmations. Remember, a complaint is simply an affirmation in disguise. It is you telling the universe, this is who I am, and this is what I want more of. When you say, life is hard, you are affirming difficulty. When you say, nothing ever works for me, you are affirming failure. But what if you change those words? What if you turn the same energy into a statement of power? Instead of life is hard, you could say, I am learning to grow stronger every day. Instead of nothing good ever happens to me, you could say, I am open and ready for good to come into my life. You see, the words are not small, they are powerful. They are like seeds planted in the fertile soil of your unconscious, and the seeds you plant today become the harvest of tomorrow. So I encourage you to practice this substitution every time you hear yourself complaining. Catch the words, pause, and gently ask, how can I turn this into an affirmation of growth, of love, of possibility? At first it will feel strange. The old brain pathways will resist, but every time you practice, you are creating a new path. Every time you reframe, you are rewiring. And over time, your default becomes hope instead of despair. The second practice, perhaps even more transformative, is gratitude. Gratitude is the great switch. Gratitude is the great transformer. Gratitude is the bridge from lack to abundance, from stress to peace, from fear to love. Each time you complain, you focus on what is missing. But when you give thanks, you focus on what is present. And what you focus on expands. Gratitude is not denial. It is direction. It is choosing to look at what nourishes you instead of what drains you. So here is a simple but powerful practice. Each day, write down 3 things you are grateful for. They do not have to be grand. In fact, the smaller the better. I am grateful for the warmth of this cup of tea. I am grateful for the smile of a stranger. I am grateful that I am breathing right now. The mind may resist at first, saying, this is silly. Shh, but keep going. Gratitude is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. And soon your brain begins to scan for blessings instead of problems. Your energy shifts. Your heart softens. Your life changes. The third practice is one many people find unusual at first, but it is deeply powerful. EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, also known as tapping. It is a gentle process of tapping on specific points of the body while speaking affirmations of acceptance and love. Why does this work? Because the unconscious often holds fear, shame, and anger locked in the body. Tapping releases that energy. It tells the nervous system, you are safe now. You are loved now. You can let this go. Try this simple phrase while tapping gently on your collarbone or the side of your hand. Even though I feel upset, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. At first it may feel awkward, but repeat it with sincerity. Notice how the body softens, how the mind calms, how the emotion releases. EFT allows you to rewire not only with words, but with feelings. It connects the conscious mind, the unconscious, and the body in harmony. The fourth practice is self-observation, because awareness is always the beginning of change. Too often we complain without even realizing it. It slips out of our mouths like second nature. So I invite you to become a gentle witness of your words. Each time you catch yourself about to complain, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, is this helping me or is this harming me? That one question creates space. That one question interrupts the autopilot. And in that space, you can choose differently. Instead of pouring energy into complaint, you can pour it into action. Instead of repeating the problem, you can ask for the solution. Here is a practice you might try. Wear a small bracelet or rubber band on your wrist. Each time you catch yourself complaining, gently move it to the other wrist. This physical act makes you aware. It shows you how often the habit arises. And with time, the act of noticing weakens the pattern, because what is observed can be changed. What is unconscious, when made conscious, loses its power. And remember, my dear, this is not about perfection. You do not have to eliminate every complaint today. You do not have to never complain again. This is about progress. This is about shifting little by little from the language of misery to the language of healing. Every time you choose an affirmation instead of a complaint, you win. Every time you give thanks instead of grumbling, you win. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you win. And those little wins add up. They become a new way of being. Do not underestimate these practices. They may look simple, but they are deeply transformative. Affirmations train your mind. Gratitude rewires your heart. EFT calms your body. Observation awakens your awareness. Together, they create a new reality. A reality where you are not a victim of complaining, but a master of choosing. So let us pause now and affirm together. I choose to speak words that heal. I choose gratitude over complaint. I choose peace over negativity. I choose to rewire my mind for joy. Say it with me, not just as words, but as a declaration. Feel it as if your whole being is agreeing, because the moment you do, you are already on the path. You are already free. My dear, complaining is not your destiny. It is only a habit, and habits can be changed. You are not your old words. You are not your old patterns. You are the creator of new ones. And every choice you make, every word you speak, every affirmation you practice is shaping a new future. You are worthy of joy. You are worthy of peace. You are worthy of a life free from complaint. And that life begins the moment you choose it. My dear, let us now move into the heart of the matter, the power of self-love and acceptance. Because when you begin to truly love yourself, the need to complain starts to fade away like a mist in the morning sun. Why? Because complaints are born from a sense of lack. Complaints are the voice of the part of you that believes something is missing, that you are not enough, that life has failed you. But when you love yourself deeply, when you accept yourself wholly, even the parts that still feel imperfect, you no longer look at the world through the lens of scarcity. You begin to look at it through the eyes of abundance. Self-love is the soil from which joy grows. Self-acceptance is the foundation upon which peace is built. So many people wait to love themselves until they are thinner, richer, more successful, more accomplished. But the truth is, that day never comes. Because if you cannot love yourself now, you will not love yourself then. Love is not the reward at the end. It is the path you walk right now. When you look in the mirror and say, "I will love you when you are better," you are withholding the very medicine that heals you. Healing begins when you look in the mirror and say, "I love you exactly as you are." It may feel strange at first. It may feel untrue. But each repetition is a crack of light entering the old wall of self-criticism. And soon, the wall crumbles. Let's practice it together. Place your hand on your heart and softly affirm, "I love and accept myself deeply and completely. I am worthy even now. I am lovable even now." Feel how those words soften you. Notice how your body relaxes as you give it the nourishment it has been craving. The need to complain lessens because you realize you are no longer lacking. You are already whole. Now let us talk about relationships. A person who complains often is usually struggling in their relationships, not because they are bad people, but because their attention is always searching for what is wrong. And when you look for flaws, you find them. You find them in your partner, your friends, your colleagues. And soon, your connections feel heavy, strained, unsatisfying. But imagine what happens when you change the way you speak to yourself. Imagine what happens when your inner voice is kind, when it is encouraging, when it says, "You are doing your best, and that is enough." That inner kindness flows outward. It spills into your conversations. It shapes the way you see others. Instead of criticizing, you begin to encourage. Instead of pointing out flaws, you begin to notice strengths. Instead of withdrawing, you begin to open. And in that shift, relationships transform. Love deepens, respect grows, joy becomes natural. Because the way you treat yourself is always the way you treat others. When you criticize yourself, you will criticize others. When you forgive yourself, you will forgive others. When you love yourself, you will love others. It is not about fixing them. It is about healing you. And when you heal you, your world reflects it. And then something extraordinary happens when you stop complaining. Life opens. You begin to see opportunities where before you only saw obstacles. The brain, as we learned, rewires itself. The old pathways of negativity weaken, and new pathways of positivity grow stronger. You wake up, and instead of saying, "This day will be hard," you say, "This day is a gift." Instead of thinking, "Nothing ever works out for me," you begin to think, "Life is always guiding me toward my highest good." And soon, your brain automatically searches for blessings, for possibilities, for reasons to be grateful. Opportunities start appearing. Were they always there? Yes, but now you can see them. Loving, supportive people come into your life. Were they always near? Yes, but now you can attract them. The same traffic jam that once made you furious becomes a chance to listen to uplifting words. The same rainy day that once made you gloomy becomes a reason to light a candle and feel cozy. Life hasn't changed. You have changed. And when you change, life responds. You will notice that the more you stop rehearsing complaints, The more you start rehearsing gratitude, your relationships soften. People want to be around you, not because you are perfect, but because your energy feels safe. You are no longer the one who drains, but the one who uplifts. You are no longer the one who criticizes, but the one who blesses. And in that energy, love flows to you naturally. And what about your inner state? It becomes lighter. It becomes calmer. It becomes joyful for no reason. You begin to wake up with a heart of thankfulness. You begin to rest at night with a sense of peace. You no longer look to the outside world for validation because you have already given it to yourself. You no longer beg life to make you happy. You bring happiness to life. So let us seal this with a simple but powerful affirmation. I love and accept myself deeply and completely. I speak kindly to myself. I see opportunities instead of problems. I attract joy, love, and abundance. My life is becoming lighter, freer, more beautiful every day. Say it softly, say it often, say it until it becomes the song of your soul. Because when you stop complaining and start loving, you do not just heal your brain, you heal your life. And when you heal your life, you heal the world around you. I want to leave you with this truth, simple yet so powerful. You cannot complain and live a happy life at the same time. The two cannot exist together. Complaining closes doors, while positive affirmations open them wide. Complaining weakens you, while gratitude and self-love strengthen you. Complaining rewires your brain for pain, while affirmations rewire it for peace, for joy, for abundance. So today, I invite you to take on a gentle challenge. For the next 21 days, practice replacing every complaint with a conscious, loving affirmation. Each time you catch yourself about to say, "This is too hard," instead say, "I am learning and growing stronger every day." Each time you want to declare, "Nothing ever works out," shift it to, "Life is guiding me, and everything is working out for my highest good." 21 days is enough to begin rewiring the brain. 21 days is enough to notice the shift. 21 days is enough to feel lighter, freer, more alive. Miracles happen when you choose new thoughts. Miracles happen when you practice love. Miracles happen when you stop rehearsing misery and start rehearsing joy. So I say to you, begin today, begin now. Commit to this practice for 21 days and watch what unfolds. Your mind will soften, your body will relax, your relationships will heal, and your life will open in ways you never imagined. The power is in your thoughts. The power has always been in your thoughts. And now, my dear, it is time to use that power to create the happiness you deserve.